The hummingbirds are back here in Colorado again. Winter's over and spring flowers. So they've been eating all the nectar off of the spring flowers. Well, the spring flowers are starting to dry up. And they love to hang out up here in the mountains, and we get hundreds of them. So since the flowers are drying up, I'm starting to make them a batch of sugar water. When we feed them, they'll go through about maybe 16 ounces of sugar water a day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-make a batch of syrup. I'm going to mix water with a lot of sugar, store it in some bottles in the refrigerator, and that way when I need to mix up a batch of sugar water for them, I can just take some of the syrup out, mix it with water, and put it in their container. Anyways, I'm going to go through how to make this, how I make it and store it. So let's get started. So I filled this pot full of water from my RO system, so it's fairly clean water. It's gone through 7 stages of filtering, and I'm going to get it to a good decent boil on it. I'm running it at low right now, but I'm going to turn it up to high. And once it starts boiling, I'm going to start adding sugar until it can no longer take sugar anymore, and then it'll be a syrup. So let me get this water boiling. Alright, so we have the boiling water, and what I have is this big bag of sugar, and you just start scooping in sugar and adding it little by little. And what's amazing is how much sugar you can add to water. Camera went out of focus here. Let's see if I can get it to refocus. Oh, there it goes. Sorry about that. So now the water has a real yellowy color to it. I'm going to mix the sugar that's on the bottom, and then I'll get back to storing the sugar. So let me go ahead and mix this up. You don't want to watch that. Alright, so I'm mixing the sugar into the water and letting it boil. So the goal here is to actually get rid of all of the crystals in the sugar, because if you leave one single crystal in the sugar, when you go to store that syrup, the thing will start to crystallize again. But if you melt all of the crystals completely, then you have no chance of it crystallizing. It'll stay syrupy. So anyways, I'm going to let this cool down. Now I've turned off the heat, so it'll be a little while, and then we'll start storing it in these containers here. So it's been a couple hours. I'd actually gotten busy watering the garden, and I forgot about this, but it's cooled way down now. And what I have is a funnel and a ladle. I'm just going to scoop the syrup into each of these containers and then store it in the fridge. So let me scoop it all in there. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch that. And then I'll mix up a batch for the hummingbirds. Okay, so I ended up with 3 of these containers full of the syrup. And what I'm going to do, this is the hummingbird feeder. This is the one I've had for the last several years. You can see it's starting to age. I'm going to fill it up halfway with reverse osmosis water, the clean water from the filter system, and then I'm going to pour half of the syrup mixture in it. And I like this hummingbird feeder because it has 10 feeding portals, and we'll have so many hummingbirds sometimes that they'll be all sitting around this thing, and we'll have 5 or 6 of them waiting in flight near the feeder in the summertime. But let me get this full of water and then I'll mix it with syrup. Alright, so I filled it halfway with water from the filter system, and then I'm just going to take the top off this syrup container. I keep these stored in the refrigerator. This should be good for a couple weeks of feeding the hummingbirds when we're at maximum feeding time. But basically just pour the syrup in, and it doesn't have to be red like the hummingbird feeder food, which is just sugar with red dye in it. And then we'll go outside and hang this hummingbird feeder for the hummingbirds. So I just hung it up, and I just wanted to show you this hummingbird feeder hanger that I made. I just took a piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe, smashed it flat with a hammer, and then bent it in an L shape, drilled a couple holes in it so I could mount it to the wall, and then drilled a couple more holes in it so that I could put this piece of coat hanger across it. Actually, no, sorry, it's not coat hanger, it's a piece of 12 gauge copper wire. And then drilled another hole here, and then took another piece of 12 gauge copper wire and bent it so that the hummingbird feeder would hang on it. And then to give it that green coppery patina, I just took a little bit of salt and vinegar, mixed them together, and then sprayed it onto the copper, and it turns it green rather quickly. It makes it look really old. But anyways, I'm waiting for their first hummingbird, and hope this video helps you get a cheap solution for your hummingbirds to feed them. And you don't have to buy that pre-mixed stuff with the red dye in it from the store. You can just buy a bulk bag of sugar, and it's a lot cheaper. And thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. There's more videos coming. Oh. And that was our first hummingbird for the day.